because at that point you're almost paralyzed by decision. Like he explains it like he's in a rowboat navigating over a sea, and then he has to climb a mountain. But then each decision like affects a wave. Each other thing changes, you know, how well he climbs the mountain or something. Like his end goals are almost near impossible to achieve because there's so many things that get in the way of him seeing a true future.
It's like an obscenely large menu at a restaurant while you really need to go for a wee, and you're looking at the menu through a kaleidoscope. Like, oh, this is stressful.
Is that a meme of like someone's put on a like a padlock on like your trousers or something, and you need to get the number off so you can go to the toilet? Like, how do you guess all the combinations? And it's almost impossible. Like, it makes it. That's why I say like it's like a debuff for him.
Hal's barely disguised fetish rears its head.
No, I'm just waiting to piss so bad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is Lorecrimes. Hooray! We've been gone for about a week.
Truly.
How is everyone? I'm good. I've had a week off-ish. I say a week off. It wasn't really a week off. It was me reading a lot of stuff.
Andy never has a week off.
Yeah,
my dude is aggressively a workaholic.
Colin is aggressively muted.
No,
Oh,
I was simply throwing my voice. It'll arrive to your various locations shortly.
Dude's practicing his theme.
Exactly. I had to mute. It was too powerful.
We should say though, today is a /lore/ kind of answering a big question episode. We're answering a very big one, and we're almost, I guess we can go kind of straight into it though, because it's a big concept in Warhammer that I think we all have differing opinions about. But I'm hoping after this massive lore dump that I'm about to take on people here, that maybe we'll kind of have a answer by the end of it. So the big question is the Emperor a god? Maybe I'll ask you guys before we start then. I guess I'll do it from the order. Andy, do you think the Emperor is a god?
No. But I think
Kill
he's got
him!
qualities
Kill him!
that I think he has qualities that are god-ish. He's like a demigod, in my opinion, which isn't quite the same thing.
What are your current
I mean, look, if it looks like a god, speaks like a god, acts like a god, it's probably a god. I'm gonna go a firm yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
To quote Gilman, is he a god I'd worship? Probably not. But I think he is. I think we've well past the point.
Eli, what do you believe currently?
Well, all-seeing, all-knowing entity that can reach across the galaxy and guides with a divine light, bringing miracles to his people. Yeah, I'd say he's a god. Come on, Lorgar was right.
Lorgar will get a mention today, but I guess the question really starts with who are gods? We know basically confirmed gods within Warhammer lore. We'll start off with Colin's favorite and bit of Eli's favorite here. Nice and easy one, which is the Eldari pantheon. I believe this is Warhammer Fantasy only, where they were previous survivors of what's called like a Culpa, which is like an entire timeline of a universe that supposedly is like killed by, I think in Fantasy, Colin, isn't it? Like the universe gets eaten by chaos, then it's chucked out, and those who survive basically became like entities that are called gods. That might just be fantasy.
That is, in fantasy, that's kind of what they started going with. There are naturally, as with anything directly out of the end times, some funky contradictions if you think about it for too long. But that is supposedly some of the lore that they introduced.
And in the 40k universe, I may need correction if I get it wrong, but from the 40k perspective, it is that the old ones, or basically when they crafted new races such as the ancient Eldari, they instructed the ancient Eldar to essentially manifest their belief into creating warp beings that would do essentially manual labor or make things or craft things or do battle for them. And so, like, they basically went, if you guys all get in a group huddle and think really, really hard together, we can make like a god of war or a god of crafting. Or I was like, they can literally make an entity that could do those things and then do amazing feats of creations. Although over time, eventually they would it would like do an inverse where like instead of the ancient Eldari being like the masters and these quote unquote gods, the servants, it would do a flip where they would forget that they didn't create them. And then it said like basically the gods have become the masters and then the ancient Eldari are their poor victims as they would probably get, anything to do with Cain basically. Is just,
no one really likes Cain. He went a little rogue on that one. Although, there's some lore where he was a pretty chill dude until he murdered the I'm forgetting his name.
Eldenash.
No, not Eldenash.
Oh,
the Ball. The Necron. The Catan. Nightbringer. Jesus Christ, that completely escaped me for a moment. Mm-hmm. Supposedly he was a bit more of a chill, honorable guy until the Nightbringer got shattered and then his ick infected Cain.
A 1,000-yard stare. Does his wife love him, or does she kind of dislike him too? Because she's the crone.
Well, part of her lore is that she needed her own blood, but the only person who could pierce a god's body was Cain. So instead of asking politely, she sent the banshees to wail at him for thousands of years until he finally listened. So I don't know if they're exactly on speaking.
I mean, I've
even before
heard worse from divorce court proceedings. I'm sure it was.
That's true. Also, as
other than that,
as with all lore in heaven, you can find 50 different interpretations.
Where's the god of therapy, bro? Like, where is this dude?
Unfortunately, I think the closest one might be Tzeentch.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that is bad.
Does not bode well for anyone.
But essentially, the Eldar pantheon are creations that, even without really, they are empowered by worship within the warp, but they kind of exist as beings, even if, say, the last Eldar stopped worshipping them, they kind of may still be around. So they are essentially, they are fixed points of power that are gods. There's also, Eli will have to help me on this one, which is the Catan are also considered in universe or
that's right.
gods. They were as
of the material, but they're still a god.
Well, this is the debate we're getting with, because then if it's just about warp stuff, it could basically almost end is the Emperor a god discussion here. But then technically the Catan do exist in Warhammer, and for a brief summary of their background, they were floating star clouds, things that devoured suns, until they eventually took form, not really mortal, but physical form in some sense, into necrodermis bodies that were crafted for them by the Necron tier, not quite the Necrons yet. They definitely would screw them over and turn them into Necrons. The Catan at this point, though, they were, obviously, this is millions and millions of years ago, and 60 million years ago, and they would
round it up to a nice 65 million years. That way we can blame the dinosaurs on Cain and the Catan.
What's a few milli? But
I mean, at that level of time, not much.
No, but they would mold themselves to look more like the Necron tier's own pantheon of gods, that they would not like the Eldar ones, which were manifesting and you could actually interact with the god. It was more like they just believed in it in a way, kind of, say any like Zeus or Thor or anything like that. It was more like that level of we have deities that we are part of our mythology and history, and then the Catan would change to look like them.
Has there been anything regarding the old Eldar gods, or is that just kind of they had them and it's like you said, they might not even have existed?
I've done my Eldar deep dive early in the year. I couldn't really find much about where they come from. They're just there. And part of my sticking point of this whole topic of what's considered a god or not, I think a big thing for me is it has to have a supernatural, not within the laws of physics kind of grounding, whereas Catan, they are space dust that's put in, for all intents and purposes, a really nice jug Like it's a cloud of sentient dust in space that you put in a thing, and now it's really powerful. But I wouldn't call it a god. The Emperor is a man who was born as a man, and he might transcend into a powerful being through supernatural pokery jiggery. But then the Eldar gods, it sounds more like they kind of just exist as a part of, again, like an otherworldly power beyond the bounds of the natural laws, where I'm more like that might be considered a god. Whereas the Catan, I'd say, nah, they're just super powerful.
It's interesting you say that,
creatures.
though. I think Eli can maybe back me up on this here, which is with the Catan themselves, they, like, as the War in Heaven starts, they start to consume so much like life energy that the Necrons, I think, even state they considered them to be part of the fabric of the universe itself.
I was going to say, like at a certain point, like killing a Catan supposedly will deeply damage reality. Like if you do actually do them in.
They were there since the beginning.
Which granted, again, there's the cursed, like the Flayer Catan, that all his death really did was make some Necrons get a little bit icky. So the veracity of that statement might be in question, but theoretically, there is some fundamental aspects tied to them, like tying them to reality. Just not the warp.
Catan themselves are not said to have been necessarily even born, so like who knows, they may have always been around.
There's in theory an uncaused cause, basically making them some sort of divine being.
They simply, but most of what our like lore understanding of them is through like their changed form, rather than like as in
what they were.
They may have always been there. And again, like as Colin said, basically the Necrons got to the point in which when Cesaric the Silent King turned upon them, you know, at the probably late stages of the War in Heaven, the Catan are basically fighting each other because they're so powerful and they can literally consume planets by a sniff. They do use like literal universe breaking weapons. They're only, obviously, as we know in certain lore, like only one Catan is said to have died. And to be fair, even I think Eldar gods, some of them have actually sort of like full on just died. Although again, they could come back in another iteration if worship happened.
I would say, if this is more fantasy lore, granted, but they could. There is evidence very much that they can reincarnate, even if they're like properly dead. And I don't know. I mean, it could be like a Kronos and his children situation with Slanesh, where could be around in there, just not exactly easy to get them out.
Yeah.
In theory, depending on how much you believe their story, the Catan were not always space dust, and they were reduced to that state because they originally lost a war with the Old Ones. But that might have just been a made-up story that they told the Necrons. So
old ones continuing to be the goat off screen.
They got everything they deserved.
And then they're on screen, and it's like, damn, you people suck.
It also mentioned the Catan are liars. They are literally, there's one called literally the Deceiver because they deceive. So they maybe some parts of it are not fully trusted, but it does show you like it doesn't necessarily have to be a warp entity or like interactions with the immaterial verse that defines what a god is. It's something where literally destroying it in some way ruins the fabric of the universe. And obviously the Catan are now broken into shards, and the Necrons do not. I mean, they could, I guess, at some point they'd thought about killing them, but obviously they'd done that once, and then it made a Flayer virus and other things pretty bad. So it clearly is not. It will destroy the universe, and maybe so. There will always be Catan, unfortunately. The next one's obviously the most famous one that we know of is the Chaos Gods, which again formed in like the mirror universe of the Warp. It's essentially a collection of sentient life's emotions. They make ripples in the Warp itself, and then all this like strife since like the War in Heaven millions of years ago, which kind of damaged the Warp. And other things, it would ripple, and then all these powers would coalesce into beings that we would call the Chaos Gods. And they would have three obviously main ones, which are Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch, who eventually would be powerful enough to carve out larger parts of the Warp and then to be established as kind of gods in their universe. And then obviously the Eldar managed to literally birth a god because they were scum. And
Well,
they,
this is the thing.
I would like to once again reiterate that it was not the Eldar. Everyone who blames the craft rulers and the Exodites and the Harlequins are idiots.
The Eldari. But this is
Fuck
kind of a
you.
sticking point for my interpretation of what you consider a god. With the Eldar and Chaos gods in mind, Chaos gods are tethered to every living being in the universe. So they are literally a coalescing of, like Khorne, for example, is honor, but also bloodlust and anger. And he's kind of a primordial thing. And when the Eldar gods were taken down, though Slanesh, the god of excess, was the one that caused the death of the Eldar gods, there was a fight between Khorne and Slanesh where Khorne's like, oi, Cain, he's mine. He's one of mine. That's I get that. You're an upstart. You just got here. He's my thing. So if we consider, like, I would consider the Chaos gods more a god in the traditional sense than even the Eldar gods, because even they have some kind of predating ever to their own pantheon, and also they are from like a mystical, mysterious other realm outside of the material universe, unlike the Catan, who are grounded in the material universe. And in my opinion, I would say the Chaos gods are more like a god. They are called Chaos gods, but they're more like they're primordial. They exist in their own little realm. They're connected to all living beings, whether they know it or not. Catan, not so much. Eldar gods, not so much. If you're a human, Chaos Eldar gods have nothing to do with you. If you're an Ogre, you've never even heard of what a Catan is, because it doesn't matter, because they've not been around for ages and they're not connected to you in any way. Whereas any of the Chaos gods, oh yeah, they've got their fingers in every pie, and the pies are all full of terrible things that you don't want to eat.
Some gods are more powerful than others, unfortunately. But speaking of the grand, yeah, that poor girl. Speaking of the grand debate
in the jar,
the bathwater.
Before that, imprisoned in lava for millions of years.
But obviously the big question is, well, the person who we are talking about, the Emperor, his backstory is not that of a god. He is a man. He is born in what would be Anatolia on Earth. It's like around about 6000 BC, and this would be the child that would eventually become the Emperor. He is a Psyker, which obviously he has some interaction and power linked to the warp, but at this point, he's kind of just a dude. Apart from, I mean, we only really know him as Neoth, as in like his earliest name. That's probably not even the name he was born with. But there is something special about him, which is he is a perpetual. And for basically the uninitiated, perpetuals are humans who are immortal. They basically kind of don't really age. They can heal from any like grievous injury, literally like a puddle of meat they could come back from.
They're basically Wolverine without the claws.
Yeah.
They just regenerate.
Kind of, yeah. They don't. Yeah, they just don't age. They essentially are immortals.
They don't say bub. But still.
Yeah.
At what point do they stop aging? Is that even ever?
They all kind of look around 40, I think. I have it in my head.
Yeah.
They all look around 40.
Apart
from Malkador, he looks old.
Is the shaman story not like? Is that dead now? Is that?
It's not considered like as in canon, but it's in like it's a theory about how. Well, do you want to explain it for the people listening, just briefly, Eli?
Oh yeah, the way back in the day, in theory, a bunch of shamans, I don't know what the number, well, very like the first psychers, you could say, of humanity got together and committed mass ritual suicide and supposedly like to sacrifice themselves for the greater good to make this godlike being, which is the Emperor. So the story goes. I don't know where the story came from, but that's been the story in the community forever. So
it's one of the earlier ones. There's also like there's nothing saying it's not canon, but there's also nothing saying like they are continuing with that idea.
It's something that it's one of the many theories they add to the pile
and it does remind me a lot of the Joker from Batman's Origins, where he says so many different things of how he became the Joker that no one knows what the correct answer is, but that's kind of the point. It's to keep the mystique of what is the Joker and how did he turn out like this? Whereas, the Emperor,
does anyone? No, keep talking.
Obviously, depending on the theory in question and the quality of the writing, it's either to create mystique or because GW can't be bothered to fill in their own blanks sometimes.
Yeah.
Do any of us
maybe
know
it's
where that
both.
theory comes from? Though, like I've never
It is
actually
early lore though. It is
found
like
the source for
really
that. Is that like Rogue Trader lore? Like
might be. I know I've heard it in a Luton video, so you know it's legit in some
pretty
sense.
real.
It's from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luton's not really wrong most of the time. So
Third
It,
edition
it
rule book
came
or
to me
something.
in a dream.
I believe
Yeah.
it. But as is Neoth, we'll call him for a little while, he would also find that there were other perpetuals who lived at this time in early BC humanity, some even older than him, such as Ollie Person. Alanius Pius later, though. Eventually, he would kind of like become a pseudo leader for a lot of the other perpetuals. He would fight with some of them, like with Alanius Person, and then he would discover / come across chaos as an existence in the Tower of Babel, and he was kind of into like, oh, we should study this, and then Alanius was like, no, absolutely not, and then he destroyed the tower because he's like, don't look at chaos, it's bad, it corrupts you. But the Neoth is more like, well, if we don't understand it, how can we fight it? So as you can tell, it makes it kind of, well, we'll see how that turns out in the end for him. As the millennia pass, humanity is happening, medieval ages, roaring 20s, all that good things. Neoth is again just in the background. He's gathering other perpetuals who are like born over history as humanity enters in like to 10,000 years or 20,000 years, and he kind of sees himself as their leader, and he believes that one day they will, as perpetuals, like shepherd humanity. But humanity's not ready yet. He'd also at this time find small pieces that would begin the construction of what would be later the Golden Throne. So he finds ancient technology on Earth, or Terra as it's called, till eventually we get to around mid 25,000s or something, where humanity's golden age, where like it ruled all the stars, went absolute dog shite. Warp storms ruined everything. There's like the Age of Strife.
Eldar.
Eldar.
Shush
was
you.
born.
Okay. Old ones.
It is the old ones.
The war in heaven ruined the war. Fuck off. No. I will not stand for this.
Bruh, can't copium huffing it.
I'm an Eldar fan. I'm a Warhammer Fantasy fan. I run on copium.
Eventually, Neoth would gather quite a few of the perpetuals, and they would go on a not quite FTL ship, so not quite a faster than light travel ship, and they would travel to a planet called Moloch. I guess before we go any further, do we do a few more? If there's any you don't know so far, just
we've got tons.
I hate what I'm looking at right now.
I will see when I can. Could you share it to me, because I can't open it from my viewer? From Card Shark.
Sure. I don't think
for 10 CA. Probably not. I'm going to miss a stream due to a real crunch work week. Have fun, and I will catch you in the remaster video.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, Card Shark.
Thank you, Card Shark.
Good luck.
Ooh, Tyberos the colorblind wake. A pot on my birthday. Thank you for the 10. A pot on my birthday. For that, I won't double the price of insulin for a bit. Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday,
man.
Yeah, I don't need to be paying quadruple digits for healthcare a month. It's already up there.
12 babies duct tape.
I would say
€2.
I would say that. Clip that.
Can we discuss changing channel names?
Driving isn't illegal on Fenris. It's mandatory. True, man.
They don't have roads.
Perhaps I judged the Space Wolves too harshly.
Another Card Shark. Thank you for the 10. I'm straight sounding on the big couch in the test tube lab. Okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh, Kabanda's Mighty Schlong of Cygnus for 2. No, stream over. That's a response to the title.
I mean, that's it.
See, man of talent.
Woden for 50 DKK. Thank you. Colin, I finally picked up Gotrick and Felix thanks to you, and I've been enjoying it a lot so far. Well, I'm glad you're liking it, man.
Very nice.
That is
big one here.
Nice to hear.
I think you need to read this one, Colin.
I think it's for Andy, though.
Oh,
well, it's the silliest clown, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's your Banker's Silliest Clown. Thank you for the 20.
Thank you very much.
Andy, I like the use of Valkyria Chronicles music in the vacation video. I thought I noticed that. Also, the four of you are handsome. Well, thank you. I'm glad for once
Ah.
that all of us got a compliment. Just unqualified. Hal in particular has a very nice side profile.
The amount of
Wow.
side profiles Andy did in that Ireland video of me just side profiling me.
It was very nice of you guys to celebrate
you.
Colin's birthday.
Happy
Jeez.
birthday, Colin, for the 50th time this year.
I do appreciate that in the first 30 seconds of that, it's me and Eli fucking zonked out on the couch.
Yeah, as I slowly zoom into Hal's face.
Oh my
Um,
god, the picture.
Yeah.
Shalaxi's wettest gripper for 2
Thank you.
Canadian. Stream late. Oh, no, my god. Sorry, Donkey Man. I said it on autopilot. Late to stream, but love you all freaky style. XOXO.
Well, we love
Wow.
you too. Not freaky style though. DJ
Did
Beast,
became a
please,
member.
thank you for
Funny
being a member.
DJ Beast. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Main event Virgil, thank you for the 10. Saw your Dublin vid. Just so you know, in the rest of Ireland, Dubliner is used as a slur. Don't let that place skew your view of Ireland. People here are great and very friendly, except Dubs. Wow, I just said a
Oh,
slur.
alright.
Nice.
I did
Thank
not
you.
know that.
Thank you very much.
Rathy's
Wow.
designated toilet. Speaking of happy birthday, I wish
Wow.
thank you for the 5. I wish
Thank
to
you.
one day see a world where chicken can cross roads without having their motives questioned.
Real.
Real.
Wow.
Thank you. man.
Also,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday, Colin.
Wow.
Lovely. Tybros back again. Tybros the colorblind wake for 2.
Thank you.
She boing gob on my son till I immolate this.
Very
Awesome.
topical.
We're back again.
Bro, he's back
Release
again.
Clown with the 10
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you, Bucky. I will let you out in a minute.
Hmm.
My theory is Big E is a dark age of tech or AI weapon, a biological STC for super soldiers. That would explain why his only consistent actions are to make living weapons as he is missing his master's instructions.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that.
I also
Light
like
abilities.
this.
When W
Light.
22 try. I think the Emperor is just dumb.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Could be.
Because
Silly
Eli
idiot.
agrees.
Skarsnik's top guy, formerly known as Stan. No, it's
These
not.
names,
He's
bro.
fully,
Wow.
he's fully Skarsnik. Thank you for the 50 knock. Missed the last stream. Will miss this one too. Sad. Anyway, does Big E have his foreskin? And if not, which Primarch will return with it as a relic? As a perpetual, I feel like he can't be
just grows
circumcised.
back.
Just saying.
It would come
Yeah.
back, I think.
Yeah.
We got a ginormous
Skarsnik.
donation here from the nonchalant Austin.
Jesus
Thank you very
Christ.
much.
$100 dues. Thank you
Appreciate it.
so
Damn.
much.
The
And a bird
nonchalant
platypus.
ostrich. That's a fantastic name.
Ostrich. Yeah, the ostrich, obviously. Oh my gosh.
I think
Wow.
this is one for you to
Thank
read,
you.
Colin.
I've seen some VTubers reacting to Colin's content. My boys officially made it. History
Wow.
is finally happening.
Thank you so much, man. That's
Thank
that's
you.
so
Thank you.
nice
Very
of
much.
you. Thank you.
In
man.
much more unfortunate news, I watched one of them, and in the first minutes, they said, "I don't like elves. I think I like Bretonia." And I was like, "Well,
Ooh.
all right, that's a bit of a
And you
kick
just
to the
went
sack."
block. And then you went
Uh,
copyright strike. And, very
Danger.
evil.
Danger Tickle for 50 SEK. Glad catching you live again makes it better as a mum and dad are yelling in the kitchen.
Jeez. Okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
How is the B-Tech Luton? You are.
Wow. Love it.
Thank you.
And last one from
Discount.
Trader Jim for 2. A couple
Cheers.
of shillings to mention Iron Warriors.
Thank
No,
you.
Iron
They're out,
Warriors.
they're
Iron
out there.
Warriors.
Thank you.
Warriors of Iron.
Thank you.
Iron
Right
within,
back.
Iron
Yeah.
without.
I
There you
gotta
go.
check something.
Where was I there quickly? Yes. So essentially, Mr. Big Boy himself, Neoth, he gathers all these perpetuals, and in a very slow ship that would probably take well over like 100 years to arrive at its
Yes, it's like a
destination, or-
sub-light ship, isn't it?
Yeah, so it could only be crewed by a perpetual crew who wouldn't die of old age.
They're just hanging out
Must have been really boring, I imagine.
after year 100. I'm sure.
I don't know. It doesn't say how he knew, but he went to a planet, or they all went to a planet called Moloch. And eventually, Neoth would enter into a gate of the warp. And this is where it gets crazy. So
And then he said, bad touch, bad touch, bad touch. And he lost his sense of humor. That's law. He went in, he came out, and he went, oh no.
we should explain, like, before this, he's kind of, I mean, how old would he be? He'll be like 20, he'll be nearly 30,000 years old at this point before he's entered this Moloch gate. And at this point, the Emperor's kind of, he's a very powerful psyker, probably the most powerful amongst all the perpetuals. He's obviously 30,000 years old, but he's still just a perpetual at this point. And then Neoth enters the gate on Moloch.
Neoth.
And this is still heavily debated in lore because it's kind of there will never be a true answer to this, but we can kind of infer, like, based off of what would happen later, where Horus himself would do the same thing during the Horus Heresy. And when Horus emerged from the Warp Gate, he essentially said he experienced like thousands of years worth of time in the warp. He'd done like great quests. He fought things. He had uncovered artifacts and other things. He did like loads of side quests essentially for the Chaos Gods in exchange for power and knowledge. And it may be that Neoth had a similar experience where he essentially made pacts with the Chaos Gods to essentially receive knowledge and power from them. Well, so they claim, but as we know, Chaos kind of lies. So it could be that Neoth just essentially enters the warp and he's able to survive there, and he survives for a very long time, and then he gathers knowledge from the secrets of the warp himself, or it could be from Chaos. It's a 50-50, really. But to the people on the outside, Neoth emerges basically as soon as he stepped in, he stepped out. But you can't see that he's experienced thousands and thousands of years. Except when he's emerged, he is infinitely more powerful. His psychic power is so much more potent. Like, it hurts to look at him. He is so much stronger, and he's obviously filled with knowledge that no human should ever possess, or probably shouldn't possess. And it also said, like, he basically emerged, like, even with the knowledge of how to craft beings like Primarchs, so, or part of it as well. So obviously he learned quite a lot through there. We should also say some things about basically this. We're getting to the what is like the 30th millennium now. He's now, pretty much, he's still not known to wider humanity, but a supremely powerful being. We should mention some of his powers as well. But at this point, like 30th millennium, the Perpetuals who had joined him to Moloch, a few of them had like still loyal to him in some way, or like, they're meant to be equals in some way, but he kind of considers himself their leader. Only really Malkador is kind of left. The Primarch's mother, Erda, kind of is. There's also, is it Aaliyah, the one who stayed on Moloch as well? There's a few, like, most of the others have abandoned him at this point.
And they're kind of sussy because it's like Malkador he's a strange one because he's the last of the Sigillites, who are this weird clandestine order of Perpetuals. And I know some people are like, was he similar to the shaman thing, infused with the other Perpetuals of his order and made more powerful than the other ones because he's lieutenant of the Emperor and Erda's Primarch mummy. So
I did have a theory about this. I need to know how this hits the other boys here. I think you're going to hate me for saying it, but I think Malkador is kind of like a John Grammaticus. He's a fake Perpetual. Malkador, John Grammaticus was made, for people who don't know, John Grammaticus is like a human side character at the Horus Heresy who's very annoying.
He's basically like a main character.
Yeah,
he's basically Bugs Bunny in Warhammer. He's really annoying.
He like works.
Well, when you put him like that, I can't help but like him more.
He works for like a cabal of aliens who basically want to kill humanity so that chaos doesn't get powerful and all that stuff. But he is a Perpetual, but he was made into one by essentially resurrection. And I think, John even probably looks a bit older than what the other Perpetuals do. And Erda, who's like the Primarch's quote unquote mother, does explain to John during the Horus Heresy and like Siege of Terror, like he's a fake one, because like Neoth and Erda and other ones, like Alania's person, they were born Perpetuals, whereas I think like Malkador and John Grammaticus are like created into one by essentially mass power resurrecting them and making them immortal. So that's why Malkador is old as shit, he's bald under that. His hair's not real. I don't believe his hair is real at all.
This is pure fan theory, but I've also read like he might just be doing that for appearances. Like you'd look at the old guy and you're like, oh, that's some old probably intelligent, but old frail guy. I don't need to worry about him. And then he obliterates your
He
soul.
can run as fast as a custodian, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Again,
Malcador does
like
definitely pretend to be more. He like leans on his staff, and he's a bit like, "Don't mind me, I'm just an old man." And then Lorgar backhands him in the Burning of Monarchia, takes it on the chin, barely stumbles. Oh, that's not an old frail man.
Yeah.
He just got backhanded by an 8
local
foot
priest backhand old man.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that theory, but that he could also like equally just be faking it so people underestimate him. Like it could very much just be don't worry about the old guy. And then, like you said, Andy, he gets backhanded by a Primarch, and he's like, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure in some of the Garrow books that he's in, there are little subtle lines where it's like he starts, as he works more with Malcador, he kind of gets like, he's very good at misdirecting people, and there's like more alluding to that.
As is fitting for the guy who basically created, let's be honest, 90% of the Imperium. The Emperor was not doing the paperwork.
But it's like I just found it amusing with the whole fake perpetual thing. It's kind of like, remember back in the 90s when Pokemon first came out and you got Mew and you'd have to go to an event somewhere, and then like Grammaticus et al. Are all just like Game Shark.
Remember the 90s? Come on,
it's
man.
just like,
Eli wasn't around. No, Colin. Oh my god,
youngins.
I was born in 99.
Colin. Yeah, okay.
Oh, just about. Bruh.
Old man moment.
I was there when no, we don't. Never mind.
But essentially, also explaining like, well, at this point, Malcador convinces Neof to call himself. Malcador convinces Neof to be the Emperor. So now he'll basically be the Emperor of mankind. Obviously, as a title, because it's much more ruler-like, apparently. We should say, like, being in the presence of the Emperor, as I said before, like, it literally is like tear-inducing perfection. He is said to be like, people think like he's like humanity personified. Being near him heals injuries of people. No one can see his true face. None of the Primarchs can even really remember what he looks like. He can shapeshift, so he can take on forms of like, what's the famous one is like Apocalypsis or Revelation, which is like his alter ego, like just a normal looking dude. And so he can hide his power, but again, like, is that what he really looks like? Who knows? Maybe he doesn't even remember.
Although the Sisters of Silence have a fun thing where they're just like, it's just some dude. So they're the ones who are soulless. And they look at the Emperor and say, it's just some dude, isn't it? Yeah, he's cool.
Just
he's some guy.
And then they worship him now
They
as
don't tell
well.
anyone.
Crazy.
Yeah.
This is the part where it gets contentious, because I don't even think many would argue he's a god at this point, but he is a Psyker, and Psykers, like, he possesses his power like many others would, or one such as Conrad Kurz or Sanguinius would. They have prescient powers, so they can see parts of the future. And this is where the point where like it gets kind of, it makes sense, but it's like I can understand why people find this annoying. He explains it to this custodian Ra that his prescient power is so powerful that it's basically a debuff. It's like he can see almost like, basically like he can see so many futures, and he can see each individual like human decision things that will ruin one future or create new ones from like other things, that essentially it's impossible to actually see what the future is, because like I guess he could see the future, but then it's like there's too many of them where, like, again, it's probably better just to see one vision of the future rather than actually like, or two visions rather than like 3 million. Because at that point you're almost paralyzed by decision. Like, he explains it like he's in a rowboat navigating over a sea, and then he has to climb a mountain, but then each decision like affects a wave. Each other thing changes, how well he climbs the mountain or something. Like, his end goals are almost near impossible to achieve because there's so many things that get in the way of him seeing a true future.
It's like an obscenely large menu at a restaurant while you really need to go for a wee, and you're looking at the menu through a kaleidoscope. Like, this is stressful.
You know what it is? It's like trying to is that a meme of like someone's put on a like a padlock on like your trousers or something, and you need to get the number off so you can go to the toilet. Like, how do you guess all the combinations in Like as in like it is almost impossible. Like it makes it. That's why I say like it's like a debuff for him. It actually makes it.
Hal's barely
work.
disguised fetish rears its head.
No, I'm just waiting to piss so bad. Then we get to kind of, or eventually he does see. Oh, sorry, he does see some futures though, and a lot of them start based like it branches out, but then they all come to the end point where humanity is dead. Humanity is completely wiped out. This is basically we are killed by chaos or others, aliens, everything. Eventually, humanity is going to die. We won't live like the Eldar or something. You know, we won't live long enough. And he sees that there's perhaps one future or maybe a couple where he can save humanity. He sees this death and he's like, man, if I don't do anything, humanity will die. So he sees this as a chance to enact this grand plan where he will move all of humanity into the webway, which is like sort of crafted by the Eldar, which are like tunnels, which are not quite in the warp, but they are. I don't know how to describe it, Colin. Like, how do you? I don't know how you describe the webway. It's like it is tunnels in some sense.
It's like tunnels between the warp and reality that connects to both. Although usually when it connects to the warp, that's generally a bad thing.
Could we call it a subway to hell? It's like the subway can get you to any point in hell, but you don't have to fraternize with the demons. It's just like it's there. You can get around in it, but you'll be safe.
That's
It's
kind of
like,
outside the glass
it's like
But the subway's pretty clean and safe compared to
the webway's clean when it isn't being breached by the warp.
Yeah.
Or
Which unfortunately is becoming more and more hard to find those pits.
Yeah, well, the webway was even like properly inhabited before. Like even the one there's a webway gate below Terra, and near that one there's like an ancient Eldari city that's long abandoned, like to the point of like it's millions of years and it's like fallen to dust nearly. So the webway is seen as like a safe pocket where if this is how he explains it, he has to drag every single human being from the material verse into the webway to therefore prevent the influence of chaos as humanity awakens more psychic abilities and then basically eventually turns into perpetuals. Like the Emperor sees like basically we can't wait for everyone to turn into perpetuals and like be smart enough not to be corrupted by chaos or anything. Like humanity will die before that happens, and like other people
must go to this giant intergalactic what's it called rehab facility in the webway to get us like off the draw. Like I can really use some of that chaos right now. It's like no, we're gonna get your supply off here.
This man will do anything but educate people on the dangers of the warp.
Yeah, I think even
Emperor, every time he's like, I'm going to tell you what this is, everyone falls to chaos. So it's like, I don't blame him for that. Because it's like,
when?
I think Malcador.
He didn't tell Order about chaos. That was the problem.
He said, well, he would have done it anyway because he's a naughty boy. And no one
gosh.
If he was that easily manipulated by Erebus and Corferon, then let's be honest.
Shush you.
If Morgoth was told about chaos, it would be like, oh, there isn't any gods, but this is a god. It'd be like, no.
Yeah, because he was lying.
Because
he's not lying to his kids.
The most he said was, "Hey Magnus, the second most powerful psyker in the universe." Are you okay?
He told Corax. Because you can trust the hot topic Raven guy.
Yeah,
this is like the weird part where it gets into. It could be the Emperor's grand plan of like the part of chaos corruption does happen because he's seen it, or eventually because chaos are able to manipulate. Like there's so many futures, and like he has seen one, but he's not able to predict like this certain outcome happens. Or Malcador does state it in like the Siege of Terror when like Dawn asks him like, "Why didn't you tell us Primarchs about chaos?" And Malcador says, "Even if we told you, your trial, which eventually will come up for Dawn, will not be any easier. You'll still be just as vulnerable to chaos." And in fact, he said to Dawn, "If we told you about chaos, your need to dominate, control, well, not dominate, but like your need to control, understand, and conquer things would eventually lead you down that path anyway on certain things." So it was like
hope. This sounds like
see, can I offer another alternative? I don't know if this is shocking news to anyone. Dictators lie.
Angry
No.
Homunculus has a good point. The only person who was told about chaos was Korax, and you know who didn't turn to chaos?
Korax. If anything, if you believe like the more recent lore, he turned into a bird demon and he still doesn't fall to chaos. So
technically, then he is chaos. He's not chaos though. He is a warp entity in some way.
He's not chaos. He's
the secret.
He learned what to avoid.
We should say the secret is like also the Primarchs potentially. What makes them Primarchs is not the fact of their superhuman, like alone their superhuman bodies, but their souls are actually warp entities that the Emperor has shoved into human bodies, or superhuman bodies. That's kind of what it's implied to be. As in,
I know. It's like very heavily implied.
If they like resurrect Primarchs, or like God forbid, Fabius Bal makes a clone, they can't make like a perfect one necessarily all the time because the soul.
There's missing
the secret.
But in theory, the Fulgrim clone has a little bit of his real soul.
Yeah, like suppose, but I don't know if Gaze Watcher will even.
I just read the freaking Fulgrim versus Ferrus Manus fight, and when he kills Ferrus Manus, it's like demons screaming and warp juice explodes coming out of so they're definitely warp creatures.
Power 100%. Explodes out of Ferrus, but essentially at this point, look, so good.
I'm sorry, I just looked. Is that Ogren holding a fucking pickaxe?
Yes,
yeah. Ogren side. This game is peak. Never mind.
Wow, I gotta.
By the way, you should do 4 Ogren build.
I did that once when I first played the game.
What was that? Yeah, so essentially we see other powers. Then the story sort of at this point continues where Unification Wars, Great Crusade. The Emperor again is like this blinding radiance of a being who's traveling all over the galaxy, uniting mankind for this Webway plan in secret. He is being worshipped as a god against his will at this point. People are, it does happen where people are basically saying, that guy seems like a godlike being. So therefore we probably, he basically kind of is one, or is to the common person is, or his powers are the such level where he basically performs miracles. So interesting, it could be a god. And then we finally get to the point, which is like just before the Horus Heresies, or as the Horus Heresies beginning, we see the first instance of channeling of faith, where the Remembrancer, Euphrates Keeler, literally banishes a demon by channeling power that is her faith of the Emperor. And so I guess the question now is, guys, do you believe at this point, is that even possible if the Emperor is not a god?
It sounds like he's already a warp entity and he's also a physical entity.
But I think we also have to bring into the fold Gork and Mork and the orcs. Like, that's a god of orcs. But is it just like... I don't know. It's like...
If you're about to imply the two strongest gods in the warp aren't deities, there's going to be...
Yeah, you about to badmouth Gork and Mork?
Dude, unreal.
But I'm like... Is it a chicken and the egg thing where it's like... Because when orcs were first created, they didn't have belief. They were crocs. And they were just strong mushroom men. And then as they deteriorated, they were like, oh, I guess to be strong, you got to be green. And then they became a bit thick. And then they started to praise Gork and Mork out of their own kind of collective belief. But like, Gork and Mork weren't around during the early days.
Just because they didn't exist then doesn't mean they're not warhammer gods.
But then it's like, are they just a derivation of chaos?
Always exist either, really.
Yeah, but then my point is, are they just derivations of chaos masquerading as orc gods?
Absolutely not.
No, it's the Y energy. It's different from chaos juice.
Also,
same stuff that's dampened by Sisters of Silence who don't have souls.
My answer to that question is also, fittingly enough for the topic today, anathema to every lore channel and person who likes debating it. It's orcs. You're thinking about it too much.
Yeah,
pick up a chopper and fight.
Pretty real.
Well, we might have an interesting answer for this part maybe later, right? But we do literally see Euphrates Keeler. Her belief in the Emperor is so strong, and she literally likes holding out like something. I can't remember what she's holding. It might have been her Aquila or something.
Little Aquila, yeah.
And it literally glows with golden light, and it banishes a demon back into the warp. So How is that
It's
possible?
that-
How is it
it's-
possible to channel something that is not necessarily a god of the
If-
war?
It sounds like the Emperor's been a god this whole time, and he
I
just
will
didn't
play
say it.
devil's advocate, however, just for the sake of it. Now, this isn't lore from Warhammer, but it is another setting that belief can be made tangible. Vampire the Masquerade. There
Love it.
is a faith stat, and if you have sufficient faith in anything, you can banish like hellish creatures, vampires being the most prominent, obviously, given that game line. But I believe there was lore of a person repelling a vampire through their unyielding faith in credit. Like, yes, credit
The
cards.
bank's strongest soldier.
Glory to the Trade Federation. But
Credit score.
it's
Had a big
like
league.
if that kind of thing is possible in 40K, it could be that. That is
But then-
also, however, for the sake of that argument, is me reaching into another settings lore. And, Occam's razor, the simplest thing is probably the right answer.
But weren't we also just talking about how humanity are special in that they are slowly becoming perpetuals, and also they have an uncanny ability to, like with the psychic awakening, have a talent for being psychers at a rapid pace, considering they weren't always.
It is said that
is
Keeler's
faith just another
not a
form of
psychic,
warp
though.
stuff?
Keela does not channel. Well, I won't say won't.
Yeah, but,
not
like-
channeling the warp, but she is not. She has no psychic abilities.
Yeah, Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, but
stuff.
is-
They're not
but is it
psychers
just-
either.
Yeah.
Like another form of psyker, just under different. It's just psyker with extra steps. Is it just like a different version of the same thing? Like Dark Souls has that whole thing of like the fire and darkness, and they have intelligence and faith, but they're basically just magic. They're just two types of magic. Where like, is faith just another kind of warp shenanigans? Because we know entities from the warp come out of the warp, and they're all like, "I'm a representation of the Emperor's divinity." And it's like, you were born in Magic Land. Don't give me that warp
I guess
stuff.
in some sense, yeah, because like
Yeah,
technically the
sure.
faith is if the faith is strong enough, it manipulates magic.
But chaos powers are warp stuff, and where do those chaos powers come from? The chaos gods.
But then also the Emperor is now tethered to chaos, to the realm of chaos since he went to Moloch. So that's the seed of faith.
Well, we'll see. I do have a theory about that, but before we get any further, do you have any more donos before I get to the next
Yeah.
section?
Got 12 or so. For first off, Bunny Cop for 2. Manling.
Thank
It says
you,
manly.
Bunny Carl. Thank you.
Wow.
Crazy.
Who wants this one? From Trash
Trash
Fox.
Box. Thank you for the $5. Sup, LC Gooners. It's time for another Big E pass, Hashoot Smash, Perpetuals as a concept pass, Slanesh Blessings upon ye. Watch K-pop Demon Hunters. I actually did watch it because my wife really wanted to watch it, so we went to my parents, used their Netflix, and we watched it. It's a cute movie. It was nice. I actually liked it.
All I know
doesn't
about
have
that movie
Netflix?
is the gif
No,
of
no, Netflix. Come on.
the lady deep throating a cucumber.
Ugh,
Excuse me.
my
Wow.
word.
What the
I liked
hell
it.
is
It's a
that?
good movie about like
What the
shame and sin
fuck?
and stuff.
Colin, would you like to take over?
100 dead guinea pigs under Colin's bed. Well, you know what?
Wow.
I gotta appreciate the fact that you spelled Colin with the correct amount of L's. So
Hmm.
with the 2 euros, thank
Thank
you. Only one word story worse than wood is done.
Wow.
What about Will?
Mm.
Angry Cecilia's clown. $5. The Chaos God sent Neoth back in time to
Wow.
betray Jesus.
Emperor is Judas, confirmed.
That's the true 40K take, is that all of these gods are simply pale imitations of the Lord.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
War Leader 0996.
Thank
The
you.
real question GW has to answer is: was BE on the list? Also, the
Wow.
Eldari did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not going to agree with that at all.
I don't know if that gets us deranked on YouTube if we say the word out loud, but
They're still talking. They're still talking about Slanesh. The media's still talking about Slanesh. There is no.
Oh, dear me.
God, I can't
you're
believe
Joe
Malcolm
for-
got subpoenaed. That's
I-
crazy.
Oh, no.
Dude,
You're Joe for 5.
They moved Lucius the Betrayer to a low security prison in Necromunda.
I never went to
Lucius?
Slanesh's island.
A Catan shard did refer to the Emperor as a weapon. Yep. A quick rat fact for you, Mr. Hal Ratburn. Happy birthday, Insulin Man. We love you. Eli, please play Gears. We tried.
We'll try. We'll try again. I'll buy a different game and we'll try.
We'll try.
Thank you.
We'll try. Thank you, though.
Oh, he's still going.
He's back. He's back. Marius Late North profile picture so real.
Slay.
Do you want
to read this? All right.
Oh,
all right.
Good.
I want to hear. I like it when Hal reads this.
Okay. Trash Fox for $5. Character limit. John Dramaticus. That's hilarious. John Dramaticus. Pass. Logar. Smash. Isha. Pass. Smells like Nurgle.
Man.
The main girls from Day of Ascension. Smash.
Oh, so
Best
real.
chips has crisp flavor.
Sour cream.
Don't say crisp.
Say crisp.
Thank you, man.
Sour cream.
It's being culturally
Thank
sensitive.
you very much. I'm not gonna lie. Tortilla chip. Plain tortilla chip is my favorite.
All right.
What's a cool original Dorito? That's always like my go-to. It's a safe choice no matter what.
Wotan again.
Thank you for the 20 DKK.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, I can't read this.
Interested for Manger Donoror ex Scandinavisk. I fucked up that last word. Give me a minute.
Are we saying the Scandinavian accent? Are we?
No, I will not be doing that.
Sorry, your face is covered by the donation. They have no proof.
Damn, AI is crazy this day.
Hang on.
Makes them say Swedish. I'm not sure if it's actually. Is he trying to?
I'd like you to translate this into Lorecrimes. It'd be lovely. There you go. Eli said that. Oh, that's mean.
Does that actually mean it? Sorry, Wotan. We are ignorant and we do not understand.
All right.
He's
Should do the next one, Andy, whilst we wait.
Google Translate Strongest Soldier. Angry Homunculus for 5. Do you guys ever think about how the translated title of the Emperor is Dune? Is just saying the word Emperor twice? Kill me, burn. Kill me.
Now that I've Google translated this, I probably could have figured this one out through context clues. Interesting how many donors are Scandinavian. That now that I have what it is in English, that's quite obvious.
Crazy.
Fantastic.
Sorry, thank you, Wotan.
Thank you.
Limper 106 for $5. Big E is a Gestalt god, just like the Chaos gods. A shitty one because humanity itself is shitty in 40k. Kind of not bad. Not
they do kind of blow.
Not wrong.
Hey, we're trying our best. Cover Flesh Eater Quartz, and you get world peace. Maybe. That's a maybe. Thank you for $2. No, he's not. He said so. Yeah, okay.
Leave the guy in golden armor.
He never lies.
Yeah.
It's just every time his name comes up, man.
Back again.
Damn. The omens are dire, sacrificing Hal's hairline to stop them for now. Well, at least I have a hairline for the moment. Appreciate it, brother. It's going to go.
106. Limper 106 with the $5.
Hey.
All Warhammer gods are just stalled entities. They are made through faith. Also something funny and witty that uses my character limit.
Well, very funny and witty.
Teach this man about Sigmar's ascension from human to god.
Angry Homunculus for 15. Hello again.
You.
My theory about His prayer being answered is because it was answered by Big E from the future, because warp deities can move through the fourth dimension. In brackets, Colin, think about Eren using the paths in AOT.
Oh god!
See,
now no spoilers. No spoilers. I haven't seen the last season.
That's valid, but also I don't like the direction Attack on Titan took, so I don't want to think about it that way. I will say, Eli, I don't think it's because it's bad. It.
I know there were some people who didn't like it. I still don't know what happens, but I know there was a lot of.
I think even the author said like he kind of wrote the ending.
Rush it and kind of...
No, he wrote it like a long time ago, as in like before he even planned out lots of things. When he was in like a really dark place, and then he kind of thought about like, oh, maybe he should fix it, but then he felt like it was betraying the work to like kind of correct it. So he's not super happy with the ending himself in a way, but like he felt like it was how it was always meant to end.
Interesting. I need you to watch the final episode so you can see the bit that me and my friends all laughed unbelievably hard at that you're not supposed to laugh at. But I'm not going to say anything because spoilers, but holy shit, me and my friends busted a gut.
Wow. In due time. Someday, maybe. I hope.
100 dead guinea pigs under Colin's bed. €2. Was Slanesh a thing before the fall of the Eldar? No and yes.
Somehow, but
It's a magical GW lore where Slanesh demons were locked away in a Necron prison.
King of Sicily.
Yo,
we got royalty in the chat. Thank you for the $5. Lore Master Colin. Oh, this is Colin. It's cool. We share the same birthday, which is tomorrow. Happy birthday. Since Gork and Mork are in both settings, is Boring Gob in 40k?
He's
We're
still
gonna say yes.
He's still gestating. He's gonna he's gonna one day devour the warp rift beneath Terra.
Dutch.
Hello,
You bastard. Smash or pass the Emperor, the gaming storyteller.
Pass.
Dude.
Pass.
I couldn't think of a funny enough way to smash.
You know what? Just for the bragging rights. Smash.
Dude, call me. Was he Alexander the Great or was he one
Yeah.
of his general? All right, well, in that case, call me Bucephalus because that motherfucker's going to be riding. That was
Out of that Greek boy pussy got me questioning my loyalty to Rome.
Dank matter for $5. There's a delicious irony to Big E's deification. Homeboy didn't consider himself a god, yet became one by saving humanity. # not my vegetable god.
I don't want to.
That's a crazy PFP, by the way. What the heck?
Emperor's party or 5 a day.
Woden, thank you for the 20 DKK. I got the confusion I wanted. It did work, although I, like I said, that honestly really, now knowing what those words are, that should not have been that hard to figure out.
Also, Trash Fox, she's back. Yes, fellas. Women can goon too. Tortilla chips are great, though Eli so real. Also, I was told someone was shit talking Gork and Mork. Crump him. It was
good message. Right?
It was certainly not me. It was definitely
not me.
Oh, don't lie.
And, last-
Demier with the €5. Warp and Faith 40k is different now. Thank Ephrael Stern for that, since she is zipping around the Necron silent zone that would 100% still the warp. Yeah, that's also a very good counterpoint.
Yeah.
But again, like there's always going to be some discrepancy with like so many writers, though. I don't think every part of it is
true. I think
even the Horus Heresy is not perfect.
I have no examples, but I'm pretty sure the Sisters of Battle Miracles would still work in the presence of a blank or in any
which is really annoying.
I don't think it could stop it.
It does other things.
It's different.
Build.
See, there'd be
a different build. It's fine.
It wouldn't be lore, but there'd be a great way to tell. It would be if there was an enemy blank nearby, and if any of the sisters' abilities were affected. But unfortunately, the psychic phase has been sent to hell, so we'll never know for now.
Bunny Cop for $5. So if you see Little Red Riding Hood with a bazooka and a bad attitude, I expect you to chin the bitch. Sergeant Miles, dog soldiers.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you what a comment.
I should probably get like
Ruby.
Little commemorative one there from Dutch.
Damn
it. God bless Ruby. No, God curse Ruby.
Can't believe the Emperor almost died to Hal's poop knife. I mean, he did get shanked. It's all right. Horus got shanked too. The next,
he walked it off. He simply said no.
Some commentator is kind of on to the point I'm kind of rounding up to, like finishing up on this one, which is, as we know, we sort of established, obviously there's like power, there's kind of things where like a miracle has happened so far. Horus literally starts the heresy because the Emperor will be worshipped as a god in the future, which is, right, a bit of irony
jelly.
there. He's worshipped as a god because of the Horus heresy, lovely. At the Siege of Terra, when both Horus and the Emperor begin to amass like huge amounts of warp power as like they're on the Vengeful Spirit, they're both threatening to turn into something called the Dark King, which is essentially the Doomsday God. It's like a god of destruction. It becomes its own, like the character transforms into a warp entity. It's been often referred, like Erebus says, it's like even in ancient tomes, like it's basically like a fifth chaos god, or basically one equal to the pantheon.
That's a sixth chaos god to you, pal.
All right.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that thing where it's like there's there's the 8-pointed star, and there's obviously the main pantheon, and then there's one that's supposed to be Vashtor, one that's the Dark King, and then there's 2 others where it's like some people have said one's Malice and one's something we've never seen before. So it's like
I miss an older theory that's absolutely not canon anymore, where the 3 gods were, or the other 4 was the Eldar pantheon, because it fits quite well. Ennead for Slaanesh, Cain for Khorne, Isha for Nurgle, and Kegarak for Tzeentch. But unfortunately, they're not allowed to have fun.
No.
But essentially at this point, in like the Siege of Terror, obviously Horus Heresy has happened. It's kind of basically at the end. This would be the god that destroys all of humanity and perhaps most of the material universe. Or at least like it would transform into something of that nature. It's only by the intervention of perpetuals like John Grammaticus and Mr. Lanius Person who they convinced the Emperor like to choose this path where basically it's defeat anyway, even if the Emperor is like, I need all this power to kill Horus. The Emperor at this point he separates parts of himself, because despite the fact of like him essentially creating these Primarchs as generals to lead great armies and obviously to create the Space Marines, and obviously there's many things where like he was willing to kill legions, and he's probably killed off 2 of his sons already at some point, or in some things done to them, who knows, for the missing Primarchs. But he just can't. Part of him does love them as sons, and it implies like he also made the Primarchs. Like he didn't have to make the Primarchs in a way. Like everyone's like, why did he make the Primarchs? It's because the fact like he is a singular entity, and therefore he is so alone in the universe. And so he decided to create essentially sons or things that would, so basically he wouldn't be alone, like in some part of him. Like obviously he is human, and he has that he has a weakness of needing to, he could have again made weapons, and he just made living weapons.
Although I do feel sorry. Are the Sensei still considered canon? The biological children of the Emperor?
We'll see as it goes on to the.
We'll see what Dan
Abnett's cooking.
Dad, what the fuck? No, I need better children. Well, I'm real. I'm your.
The Emperor may have had biological children throughout the millennia, but like it's implied they're not quite like Primarchs though, but they are like powerful beings. Yeah, Smash or pass Erda. He did that too much. But he separates a part of himself, which is like part of his own soul in some way. Like each person does have a soul in Warhammer, unless you're a blank, or at least you have a null in that place. And this coiled into something called the Star Child, which, as again, is like a callback to earlier lore, which Dan Abnett's brought back. This is essentially like the good in him. This is like most of his humanity. It's the thing that would hold him back from killing Horus, and he casts it, I think, into the warp, or like he casts it off of himself, and it maybe goes into the warp. Potentially, this is the part that goes on to become what is known as the God Emperor.
Never mind.
Yeah, well, like it's not quite like the Star Child as in like anything the Gene Stealer cults do, but the oh no, the dumb ideas. Probably Dotto's all right at the moment. Don't worry, man. I'm not that great at it though because I'm rusty. So essentially, this part may have been what is like similar to Slaanesh, when Slaanesh is birthed, as in literally someone in the comments or one of our donations kind of points that out almost. Like Slaanesh is born, and therefore when Slaanesh is born in the warp, she or it or they exist for all time, and therefore they can affect the past and the present and the future. So therefore people in the past could therefore, if they worshipped Slaanesh before Slaanesh was even born, it would work. And this may go on to explain maybe why Euphrates Keeler is able to draw on a power that is of the Emperor, because in some way it was always going like, even though the Horus Heresy like was a lot of like people making decisions, essentially it always says like, because of who we are and the decisions that we know we're going to make. Like you could also by the way, everyone, free will, you could literally go randomly like attack someone in the street for no apparent reason.
Don't attack people in the
you
street.
have free
Hal,
will.
Hal condones it.
No, I'm saying not. Or you could, just rise up and destroy the class system as we all, need to. But
Sir, yes, sir. I love the Soviet path and command and conquer.
We could.
Hell March goes hard.
But the thing is, you won't do these things because they're not who you are. Like a lot of things, you're not going to do something that's not yourself. So therefore, you're predictable. So therefore, the Horus Heresy was kind of always going to play out like this because of who was involved. Horus was always going to be the one that falls. As in, some characters like Sanguinius is always going to die in some sense. Like it was unavoidable. The Emperor was always going to be mortally wounded. So therefore, it would create. It was going to create the Star Child, which creates this entity which maybe people would then draw power from if they worship the Emperor. And then as the story goes, eventually the Emperor is wounded, placed upon the Golden Throne, and he is trapped in the state of life and death. So the actual Emperor is trapped in the state of life and death. He is still a perpetual, but the wounds are so great, like see Horus being empowered to the near level of a Dark King himself, that he is, as we in like the opening lines of all 40k books, he is 1,000 psychers are sacrificed to him every day. It's like he constantly is reborn. So he dies and is reborn every single day, and that powers the Astronomicon. And
or Emperor is stun locked every single day, trying to get back in the lobby.
He's in head stun.
Can we get a shout out to the Terminus decree? Rip Grey Knights. Rip all my Grey Knights.
That'll have to be his own episode because I do have so much to say about that.
So I have really quickly something that might become as bad news, that it was arguably kind of hinted at being something like that. I don't remember what exactly the passage is from, but there's something along the lines of, if the Emperor gets off the throne, what emerges might not be him. So that being the Terminus decree, unfortunately, was set for precedence. Now, the fact they revealed it at all kind of ruined the mystery of it.
Yeah.
So they should have never opened their mouth. But
I think that and the fact that the Grey Knights tried to solo the Imperial Palace and embarrassingly, unsurprisingly lost the army of Custodes.
Eli, you're not thinking straight, because you know what they're gonna do for that event? They're bringing back the GOAT Matt Ward to write for the Grey Knights for that.
That's the hero we need.
And let's not forget, the more Grey Knights, the more their powers combine, so they could just be like, lick my balls, blow everything up.
Look, I'm just saying.
What is Ligma?
If I read about the Grey Knight Dragon Ball Z Spirit Bomb, complete 180 on the Terminus decree, golden lore, 10 out of 10.
Drago comes in from the top rope. Look at Drago slithering out.
Rip Drago, they obliterated his model. He's not in the new codex.
I think
he'll come
back. Yeah. No, but I'm assuming that's because he's going to be in the he'll be the first new model in like the entire or the new editions, like the 10th edition.
Freudian slip, Hal. I heard what you were about to say.
End time, wasn't it? Yeah.
But his rules aren't even in there, so he won't be there till a new Grey Knights Codex comes out. Not even like the new edition.
They'll make some index or something.
I said Farsight was. So getting off.
Farsight had rules anyway. Yeah.
But essentially, so this at this point, there's kind of the Star Child theory part is obviously now we know it's like a real thing, that Dan Abnett, my boy, carrying 40k, 30k lore on his shoulders, is absolutely real, and it is a entity / thing that is of the Emperor, but is now no longer connected to him in the same sense. Or in some part, it might be. We now skip ahead, as the famous line of, it is now the 41st millennium. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has sat on the golden throne of Earth. He's the carrion lord of the Imperium. But it is said now that his power is like even more potent, or perhaps it is not more potent, but it is unrestricted now that he no longer can keep it in. Or like he no longer hides it in some sense.
It's been a bust.
Yeah. Psychic awakening didn't help.
Has he always had this power before, would you say?
It's hard to tell. There's a part in like the Great Crusade randomly where like him and Horus like are fighting side by side. and they're fighting like it's not a Krork, but it's a pretty much like a prime orc, what is like one of those ones in like the War of the Beast. And the Emperor is said to like struggle with it. And he literally says like to Horus, buy me some time or something. He literally says, I need to build up a Kamehameha, literally. I'm not joking. He literally says, I need to build up like a thing, like an orb of death. So then he kind of gets semi-injured by this thing. So, I mean, like that thing was strong enough to like almost crack his head open.
Yeah, it's because the orcs are goated.
Yeah.
Simply, they are built for fighting and winning.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So there are instances of him like not being like if he was a god. I mean, like God almost got killed by a guy who's just the main character in like a
Mushroom
video game.
Man.
Yeah, he was like got killed.
Mushroom nearly killed God. Oh
Look,
no!
The old ones made the orcs, and if you go to the setting over, they were the only race the old ones couldn't kill. I'm just saying, if it was gonna be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the whole frailty thing, the whole idea that to sustain the god, you need to sacrifice 10,000 people a day to keep them on life support doesn't seem very godlike to me.
But they don't know that.
Yeah, but it's
I don't know
also
if that's actually confirmed. They don't know what'll happen if they don't.
They're doing it though.
Well, yeah, the Imperium does a lot of things it doesn't need to do.
It is a thing that it's a kept secret for a long time until Malkador shows basically the people who are in charge of the Golden Throne that if they like in the book Master of Mankind, the Emperor is sitting on the Golden Throne while the Webway War is happening, and they essentially like the Emperor and Malkador don't want to do it because obviously it's horrific to them, but they do it because they need to, and they sacrifice 1,000 Psykers so that the Emperor can temporarily leave the Golden Throne, go into the Webway and fight the demons, and basically, as they say, like the sun is rising because literally, dude is like, goes literally Super Saiyan, and but sacrificing the Psykers actually buys time. So, like, essentially, the equivalent is psychic power is the electricity, it's the battery power, and feeding 1,000 into it buys a certain amount of time for the Emperor to not be on it, but to power it to the same level. So obviously he's worth 1,000 Psykers, or at least medium.
Yeah, and the Emperor is the proverbial lithium battery that one day is going to explode.
I have a question about divinity that, again, this is partial devil's advocate and going for Andy's side. Most every god in Warhammer has like a domain. Like they're god of X, right? Cain and Khorne are gods of war. One of them's elf specific, but he's still a god of war. Even like something as basic as Gork and Mork, one's brutally cunning, one's cunningly brutal. Big E doesn't really have one, does he?
Bigotry.
In the way Nomicon kind of is.
But that's not really, like that. That was the thing he built.
His domain was where the faith is.
But that can be said for any god. Like Khorne's domain follows Khorne's worshippers.
Is it fair to say that the Emperor is kind of the god of futility? It's like the dying of the light. You keep pushing and pushing and resisting and surviving and killing things to stay alive, even though you know it's doomed to fail. Like, is it literally the not quite entropy? I don't know what the word would be, but like the god of nihilism, almost like everything you do will turn to shit eventually.
You're thinking in a way in which it's like the Emperor's not a god of concept in the same way in which he embodies. He does embody some aspects of humanity, which is obviously like in the same way as like order, faith, sacrifice, and like much broader concepts rather than war, trickery, and other things like with other gods. I don't think he's as simplified as that.
Yeah, but I would say that's like so broad as to not really be the thing. It's like embodying faith. Every god in a way does that. Like they all have that. Like you worshiping them, you get stuff out of it.
Does the Catan? Does that same rule apply to what people do consider and are called gods in the universe, the Catan? Because they don't necessarily have to embody. They are given nicknames of certain things, like the Deceiver. But what's
they do kind of do though. Like obviously, all Catan are like vaguely technological, but like the Void Dragon is explicitly like the machine one.
Yeah, and like the Nightbringer is like
Yeah,
that
Nightbringer
is death. Like the
And there's
concept
the
of
one
death.
who's always on fire. That's his thing.
But to be
The
in the
burn-
chat, Mike
Hey,
brings up a good
An-
point. There is a
Andy.
heaven in 40k.
Yeah,
There
I
is
was
a
gonna
heaven,
say,
and it
yeah.
happens in multiple books.
But hey, Andy, that god's an easy one if you don't mind a bit of reaching for it. Prometheus,
Yeah,
bringing
and
fire
it's like
to the mortals.
It's like destruction and stuff.
Yeah, that could all. Yeah, that's also like the simpler.
guess-
like he's on fire because he's a god of destruction.
It could be the sense of like in what's the difference between like polytheism and monotheism, if I'm saying those ones right.
Yeah, that's
Like,
another
as in-
way to argue it.
Just because he's not a polytheistic deity does not mean he could not be a monotheistic one where it's like he is everything.
He
He's
is
the
God.
all-encompassing.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's a valid interpretation. Just in Warhammer, most every god is they're a god of X in some way. Even like in fantasy, it wasn't as much for Sigmar, but transitioning into AOS, he's the god of Azir. Even he's taken on like the god of something. Whereas Big E's kind of been like the only one to just be a god.
If he does. There is a heaven of some sort. It's a bit mysterious, but there is. So he can literally save your soul from the chaos gods.
Yeah.
That's pretty godlike. There's no one else doing that. No like powerful psyker who can do that for.
Oh no, I
just,
still think he's a god. That's just something interesting I've noticed about him. Like he alone doesn't have a domain.
I just like the idea that
he kind of does. Like
heaven.
It kind of
I don't
when
really
you-
understand.
Well, no, like domain isn't
Not
like
explained.
feel
but,
like not domain
it-
isn't like literal plane of the warp. I mean like
But-
domain as in like he is not the
the god
god of
of.
specifically anything. He's
Was it
just
the case
the
of just, like,
humanity's god, not even necessarily the
say-
god of humanity.
when they say, "Oh, I'm gonna sit by the emperor's side when I die, and that's my eternity." Like, I just like the idea of there's a parallel dimension of the Golden Throne, which is just one of those ye oldie family photographs with the emperor sat on a big chair and just thousands of people who are just like, "I'm in heaven. What do we do? We just kind of sit here next to the emperor. It's pretty chill." Huh? Do you think?
It's actually just a
sing
big
hymnals.
queue, sort of massive queue. But so he's kind of he just even though say at the point of the 41st millennium, it is said it is said for the people who are experiencing him or being near him that he is more powerful. Like when Gilliman arrives back on Terra after being resurrected in the 41st millennium, he says he is even more powerful than he remembers him. He hears like 1,000 voices in his head when the Emperor tries to speak. He can't really recall everything about meeting the Emperor Gilliman because it was like, I think it's just such like an overpowering experience. And then I said to it before, like I like it to be like, so if you went in the room of like where the Golden Throne is, it's like being next to the elephant's foot in Chernobyl. Like it's like being near like the reactor of like a raw sort of what is it? Yeah, like a radiation
counter.
sort of counter. Like isn't like literally like that. It's like is that level of like, oh, you see the Emperor for a second and then you melt because your soul is literally absorbed by this mass of like writhing power, which is obviously pretty horrific because it's like it's a half dead creature, and who knows if he's really like if it's really him there. To be fair though, there are some points that do point to, obviously there's hard things to ignore, which is there are in fact miracles, and there's been many miracles over the entire history of the Imperium. We literally have living saints such as Celestine and other ones who are kind of immortal creatures that are full on winged saints that worship the Emperor or themselves are aspects of power that they derive, they say, from the Emperor. Gilliman was literally inhabited by a part of the they said literally something in the warp. They said Mortarion could feel it. Something was rushing towards them in the Dark Imperium trilogy. Like this, to when Gilliman fights Mortarion, it's not going super well, even though he has like the Emperor's sword. Something in the warp rushes towards them, and Mortarion's like, "What the fuck is that?" That's horrifying, and it literally inhabits Gilliman, and it resurrects him. It speaks with the voice of the Emperor. The custodians, when they are nearby, they recognize it as like master. They just say like they whisper like master. They can feel his presence. who knows if that actually left the Golden Throne or was that the Star Child thing that's in the warp. Invoking the Emperor, much like with many things in history of like with demons and other things, like invoking the God Emperor's name scares demons. It doesn't, being near shrines and other things, cultists tend to defame and ruin other things because it literally hurts to be in the presence of what are like holy spaces. Or Sisters of Battle literally perform miracles all the time in combat. People, there's even like a subplot in the Alpha Legion Shrouded Knight book, I think, isn't it, Andy, where they have people who are literally like pillars of Astronomicon in Imperium Nihilus or something. They have parts of the Emperor like power within them. So the interesting part is like after we have kind of all of those parts together, apart from I guess one last ingredient into this, which is even the Inquisition kind of suspect like the Emperor. Well, obviously, lots of the many subsects of the Inquisition think that the Emperor is obviously just a god, but they leave him on the Golden Throne. We were trying to find the name of it earlier. There's a certain sect which believe they need to. I think it's
the Thorians,
Thorians, or who is it?
There's the Thorians, and then there's a subsection of them called the Revivifactors, I believe it is. But the Thorians are like, hey, we need to like resurrect the Emperor, and then there's another faction of the Inquisition like, no, that's a bad idea. We should just not do anything. It'll be fine. Isn't the Golden Throne breaking? Shut up. No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then the two of them are always competing with each other.
There's also it's very difficult with their different ideologies, but even one of them kind of thinks like some of them, which are some of them got purged over throughout Imperial history, where they think they need to kill the Emperor on the Golden Throne so that he can fully become a god, because then he's just a thing in the warp. Rather than, so he's actually, that would be a true god. So there's a real question of, is the Emperor god? And so like I'll say what I kind of think first, which is like it's a kind of a no, because I think the Emperor's on the Golden Throne, and the part that is the God Emperor is in the warp. So I think you could kill the Emperor, but then the other thing, the warp still exists because that's the part that people worship. That's the idea of the Emperor.
That just reminds me of that time when Leman Russ, the Wolf King, tried to kill Horus, and there was the whole thing of like the sons of Horus are like, oh, he got wounded by Leman Russ by this big old spear. What's going on? He's in a coma. And then they're like, oh, there's a bit of Horus's soul fighting for his life in the warp atop like a mountain of demons. And he's been there this whole time. And until we get that part of him back to his body, he won't be like full Horus. He won't be full fat Horus. And so, yeah, I could imagine that like the Emperor is running on diet Emperor at the moment, and he hasn't got the full sugar content to make it. Ooh, that was a refreshing beverage. So, yeah. But the thing what you said about the Shrouded Knight book is interesting, that like, yeah, there's one guy who's briefly seen the light of the Emperor, is blinded by it, and now he can act as like a bespoke Astronomicon beacon far from the other side of the wrong side of space. And they are like, hey, we kind of need this guy to be our North Star because the actual North Star is blocked. We can't see it.
It's behind the
curtains.
This guy
will do.
Yeah, at the moment.
Fighting for him.
But it's an interesting, like, it's annoying, like an interesting in between where, because if in my interpretation, is the Emperor on the Golden Throne disconnected from the warp entity that is the Emperor? Like, are they linked or are they not linked? If, say, the one that resurrected Gilliman again on during Dark Imperium trilogy, is that the Star Child thing, or was that the one on the Golden Throne that sent part of him? That if they are not connected in like a proper way, as in like, it's hard because like, say if there was it Cain, avatars of Cain manifest, Colin, don't they? Like on the field of battle, but as in like. How's it happening? Like one has to sacrifice himself, literally.
You have to sacrifice an exile. Although there is one bit of like way older lore, I'd have to find it again, where a statue just kind of went for a walk.
But as in, so like
murdery walk, of course. But
say like the Emperor on the Golden Throne is essentially like a really, really powerful avatar of Cain. You could technically kill the God Empress as the avatar of Cain, but you wouldn't kill Cain, right? Because
Yeah.
Cain is still a being that exists in the war. But
He's shattered across it, but he's still there. He's not
Mhm.
dead.
but technically, it's in a weird way, like we're in inverse, where like the original being that is the Emperor is technically the dude that's on the golden throne, and then part of him became a god later. But then if he, the man, died, would you say the Emperor? Would you say like the thing in the warp is still the Emperor, or is that just something in? It's like
Well-
it's turned into something of its new, it's its own thing.
Couldn't the warp thing just be his soul? Because like all souls are connected to the warp, anyways.
But his soul
But
is like
that
his
is
soul
another,
is still on the golden throne, though. Like
that's a fairly apt comparison also, because like the Cain doesn't really exist in the warp anymore. Like his spirit resides in the hearts of the craft worlds now.
Hmm.
And maybe, every now and again you can find a bit on some Exodite planet, or probably some statue in Kamara they've chucked in the bin after thousands of years. But he's a warp god. I mean, he even has the demon keyword on tabletop, but he's not really in the warp anymore.
And there's that weird avatar of Cain that's like the first avatar called the War Shard in the Yanari books, where he's basically where it's the Tomb of Vol, I believe it is, or where he kills the Eldar like hero of old, and they basically beat the snot out of him, and then one of them gets a ruby that when he puts on his chest makes him into the War Shard, and he's like, I was bad, but now I am good because you've bested me in Mortal Kombat.
Imagine that being
wow.
on the tabletop. Boy, I would love for that.
Mm.
Maybe Yanari wouldn't be paid.
Not for the likes of you.
No, sir.
Yeah.
just say this. So going through it, then, Andy,
World wins.
where do you think you lie on? Is the Emperor a god?
Still no. Fundamentally, my main hang up is that while the gods of chaos et al. Exist as like a kind of interconnected thing, and they've always been around in one form or another, things like the Emperor, they had like kind of like, I'd say an interesting comparison would be something like Sigmar. Sigmar exists in his own little kind of realm where he was like Talos in the Elder Scrolls. He was a man, but now he am a god. But he has his own super spiritual realm. He's not tethered to the current setting, the material realm in the same way. He has his weird lightning powers, and the Emperor is still tethered to that throne. And until he gets kicked off that big chair, I don't think he could achieve true like apotheosis and be a god of like the Immaterium until that last vestige of him is gone, kind of like what the Forians are saying. I'd be like, get him out there. What's the worst that could happen? We're already losing. Kick him off the throne. See what he comes back stronger. Oh, get a new god. That'd be nice. Proper god. Full fat god. Go on. Kick him off.
What do you think, Colin, then?
I'm still gonna say he's a god. I mean, it's like I said, I'm sorry, Andy, but it's like I said at the start, it walks like a god, talks like a god. I guess he's not really walking very much, but
He ain't walking nowhere.
His spirit
He's
sure
got
gets
dangling
around
legs.
across the galaxy doing
Yeah.
miracles. Like
Sometimes.
that's more than anyone else that isn't like a chaos
To be
god.
fair, though, say like if we're in Warhammer, say
Right.
tomorrow we have like a big sect of like, let's just say like multiple, like a whole system starts worshipping Colin. We as like Colin the god, but like we know like Colin is not a god. But then
It's true,
because
the
of people's
Warhammer belief.
genuine belief in praise be to Colin, the pancreas no work, miracles start to happen, and like people's insulin is now free.
Pray to me, and all of the healthcare CEO worries you have will disappear.
Yeah. So,
Well, following the
My
logic
patron
of
saint
Warhammer,
Luigi.
in theory, Colin would just become a god.
Yeah.
well, it's like but the thing is, necessarily there may be a collective belief manifest, but therefore you haven't changed really.
But he probably
but
would
I
change.
feel like it would manifest around like a focal point, and I feel like in the case of the Emperor, if he wasn't a god before he sat down on the throne, after 10,000 years of that belief focused on him, like I feel like if he wasn't at first, he absolutely is now.
Because of the collective belief that people have empowered him with. Like he's
Yeah,
crossed the border of like, okay, this is a godlike being now.
Yeah.
I still very much think he was a god in like before that, but
Yeah, me
if
too.
he wasn't then, like I can see arguments against it at first, but if he wasn't then, he absolutely is now.
Mm-hmm.
And Eli, where do you think you lie on it then?
Oh yeah, he's a god, certainly. This is assuming that him and the warp thing are indeed one of the same. The Trinitarianism, but in Warhammer, there's literally a Admech and Iron Hands sect that are Trinitarianism.
Steel Confessors.
So yeah, you have the Emperor as a man and the Emperor as a god. They're one and the same. The Emperor's physical form is present in one space. The god spirit of the Emperor, Holy Spirit, is omnipresent everywhere, and it is separate but together. It's just the mystery of the Trinity.
I think I lie on like the thing of there is something in the warp that is the Emperor and it is a god. I just don't know if it's the same.
It depends on
creature.
Yeah.
It is not the
Or is it
same
something
creature.
new?
It is something has muted it, as in like literally turned it from what its original thing was into something new. I believe there is a god emperor god, but I don't know if that is the same person that is whoever called himself the emperor at some point. It is gone. It is like with Sigmar, it's gone beyond a transformation. Like Sigmar the man is probably a very in a way like a different thing to what is Sigmar the god in essence, really. Like it is gone is more of an extreme example of that. But I would say technically there is a god emperor of mankind. There is the emperor, but again, it's hard to kind of pinpoint. Again, it is. I feel like it's really cool that it's up to interpretation in some sense, where someone could argue, "Oh, he's a god, then why can't?" It's like, what's the whole thing of like, is a god is all knowing and all powerful? Technically, no gods in Warhammer are all knowing or all powerful, and maybe Chaos is in some sense. But even then, maybe it's only Tzeentch at some point. But they're all limit. There's always a limit in some regard. But yeah, sure, let people who are listening along, please do it in like the comment section or of the chat. Maybe we'll read out a bit now, but let us know how. I think someone kind of went on my point earlier as well, so we're literally thinking along the same lines. But let us know if you actually think the Emperor is a god. Is he just a god because dude is powerful? Like, what's the power level that makes someone a god?
Is he a god or is he a dog?
Like, is the power level like I can raise an entire planet with one hand, or what is it? Is it can I do something like that? Because then some things don't meet the criteria, even though they're described as godlike beings. So it's again, the definition is hard to kind of meet, but I would say so in Warhammer. It is in the universe they have humanity has manifested their own kind of god, and it's not necessarily I don't know. It's not exactly a perfect answer to the question, but I think I do go with yes. There's a lot of waffle for me to say yes. Do we have any more donos before we
do?
I think after the donos, we should definitely do that question of the week that we came up with and did not forget.
I know what we can do. I got one. Create your own god of what?
Yeah. That'll come when the time comes. Colto dude, 57. Thank you for the $5. Eli, please explain Celestine getting disabled by Necron pylons on Wikipedia. Then, Mr. Sororitas are built different. I totally forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie.
That did happen, yeah.
And my explanation is the Necrons are goated. Necrons are goated.
Also real.
Yeah, and in theory, I would need more examples than just the one. But you are right. That is something that happened. And
she also got bodied by Khan the Betrayer. He pulled off her wings.
That did happen.
Quite brutal.
Now,
I think inconsistency in the writing, to be honest.
Yeah, inconsistency in the writing, and also the Emperor power could be not necessarily warp magic, but in its own sense, like its own realm of stuff. And the Necron pylon just turns off everything.
You could still say it's like
it separates them from the Emperor's light.
It's still, even if not like psychic powers, it's still a non reality based thing. And the Necrons are
a supernatural thing.
Yeah, it's a supernatural thing one way or another.
I would need to see the Sister Power not working around like regular basics like your stuff like blanks to really be sold on it, because the Necrons really are just too goated. So it's really hard. But you are right. I did forget about that.
Jesus.
Death's best friend. Wow.
Bloody hell.
Edgiest
Wow.
PFBF scene. Random thought I had walking through a Walmart. There's a non-zero chance that Emperor said, "Whoop, there it is," in the
Crazy.
90s.
Whoop,
Crazy.
There it is. Do you think when he first made the Space Wolves, he was like playing like "Who let the dogs out" in his head?
You disgust
Oh,
me.
man.
Dude, all I know for certain is that when he launched the Great Crusade, Hell March from Command and Conquer was absolutely blaring.
Do you reckon when he launched the Great Crusade, he threw it really hard?
Okay.
D&D
dear.
character who could do that.
Non-zero
Mhm.
chance the Emperor said goon. Yeah. Very
No
real.
spiral in that Great Crusade, dude. Crazy throw. Oh, the Thousandth Son. Great name.
Thank you.
€5. I'm pretty sure the Sis's ability still worked in the prior Nexus. Further evidence that they are separate, unless it's just a placebo. I think, yeah, it's like
It's a pretty
it's
strong
annoying. Like
placebo.
certain things are written. I don't know if that is just an inconsistency. I remember Luton even made a video at the time being like, "What the hell's going on?" Because it was showing that it doesn't work. Again, I think it's more of an inconsistency thing rather than, or like their faith is so strong that it penetrates through it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Cool.
Limper 106 with the $5. Thank you. Sigmar is just infused with Ulrich's power. Silly
So
right
real.
Unless you're saying the gods can exist without followers. Someone send
Based.
Victor Saltspire to this man's house.
Ulrich's strongest soldier.
You
Sigma is left and he loves you.
Ulrich is a good god. Unfortunately, Sigmar is better.
Certain gods can
Hammer.
exist without followers. They're just not as powerful without followers. Like the Emperor could exist. I guess in some way, like he could exist without worship and other
I mean,
things.
he had to
did.
before he sat on the throne.
But we're arguing like because of all the worship, it's transformed him into one, or at least they're implying it in Warhammer lore. Like he is essentially ascending, or some part of him is ascending into godhood.
100 dead guinea pigs again under Colin's bed for 2. Instructions unclear. Attack people on the street. Whoops.
Oh, that's a good comment earlier. Yeah,
How's fault?
that's the free will debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one of like you don't. That's all good.
No, you finish.
I think it's the whole thing of like you have free will, but as in like people are just predictable. So you're not going to deviate more like from what you would mostly do in situations. So you kind of like, even though you could really do it, you go out and go into debt tomorrow, or like do something stupid, or do something really clever. You go sign up for classes. You go learn a language right now instead of listening to Lorecrimes. Don't do that, please watch. Well, no, you can spend your 10 minutes, 10 minutes at night learning something new skill for your workplace. You're not going to do that because you know what I mean. Isn't
that like the Men in Black line? Like a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky animals.
I guess so, but as in like in general, the sense of like you could. Like the possibility of doing everything is always there. Like possibilities are endless, but you're not going to do endless possibilities all the time.
And there's that whole, even in the more micro scale, it's like, I will not eat that entire tub of ice cream I just bought I will keep it in the freezer for a week. The same night. Oh, it's gone. Like, we knew what was going to happen. Don't have free will.
The Pancreas is the silliest clown again. $2. Which chaos god do y'all reckon ate Jesus? I am an Elanius Pius supporter.
Yes, sir.
Didn't happen.
Yes, sir.
They're still out there, and humanity has simply lost its way.
Yes, sir.
He is the strongest Catholic going in the.
There is a lot of there is theories. When I was like a kid playing, people would always say that like, oh, the Emperor is Jesus type stuff, and they would like bring up all these examples. And I've never heard of them since, but in that era of time, people said that a lot.
Incorrect.
About that, yeah.
It was Alexander.
Elanius Pius is the goat, though, and he's right.
Xenon for €5. Finally caught you guys. Colin, I made a Lothern Seaguard warband for a Mordheim campaign. Wish me luck.
Not only is it
cool.
Lothern Seaguard, but you're playing it in Mordheim. This man is the most cultured member we've ever had.
I love you, Xenon. This one from Limper again. 5. Last one. Biggie encompasses the domains of making more Space Marine models possible.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, pretty real.
It is a business.
Pretty real.
War Leader,
Hmm.
0996 with the 2 pounds. Insulin for the insulin god.
There you
Wow.
go.
Real.
Appreciate it,
There you
brother.
go.
Is that
Bear in mind with
the-
the question of the week, we do not have the results from the last one.
I pulled it up.
Oh, did you?
That's good.
Well
I
done.
did. I was on it.
I'll
The
screenshot these.
Ignore what
was-
I just said then.
the question was hashtag fisted. Who do you think needs a
Oh
good
my God.
fisting?
Forgot about that.
Jesus,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, Hal, you missed the Imperial
that's
Footsteps.
crazy. That's crazy talk.
I regret nothing.
I even said Hal would never let this happen if he was here.
Mhm.
we've got some answers across the board for various different definitions of fisting. So
Hmm.
Oh,
we'll go with the awful one first. Noir 9094 hashtag fisted. Current Corvus Corax only to see if he has any eggs up there.
Okay.
I hated every second of
Bro.
that.
You know that was pretty
man.
horrible. That's why
I'm
I
a
picked
better
it.
person before I heard that.
Truly.
Wow.
I missed the person I was before I heard that.
Me too. That's why I had to share it. I wasn't going down there alone. Hashtag fisted from Benis DD. Gotrek, why? To supercharge his slaughter across the realms with the extra shame and ass aches left after an unexpected ceramite-coated Thorgrim backstab.
Wow.
Tom Warren 55I8. We got 5580.
Tom Warren.
Jesus. We got that'll be the second to last one. Hashtag fisted. Because Colin cannot tell me what to do, gonna say Manfred. However, it's not that Manfred. It's Manfred von Deal, who killed Felix's first love, Kirsten. Sure, Felix got to kill the guy, but that doesn't mean I still wouldn't like to see him punched. Real. Very real. And then finally, for our last one, Trippy Imp 6265. Hashtag fisted, and he just said Eli.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Poor Eli.
Man had to turn our
Unbelievable.
favorite Canadian into a puppet. Crazy.
Oh dear.
Wrong here.
Shall we say for the question of the week,
Back the way you came.
you are turned into a god. What are you the new god of?
Sure.
Hashtag
Assassinating
God.
healthcare
Hashtag
CEOs.
God. Put us in the same hashtags as like the most wholesome people on the internet, and then put us in there.
Dude, that's
Hashtag God.
I think I've said before, but that's happened to me a couple times. There's been like 2 videos of this family just posting on like a personal YouTube channel about like them talking about how they're like getting over a recent diabetes diagnosis, and then they have hashtag like pancreas no work. And it's clearly like, I don't think you know what I'm about.
It's
I
not
appreciate
quite-
I hope your diabetes journey is going smoothly, but I
It's-
don't think you're a bit lost.
Suggested video, Marafi. Like, oh, here we go.
It's not
Here
quite
we
as
go.
bad as when I started my channel and I saw next to my videos Amber King eulogy.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
was like, oh man, oh man.
no.
And there was more than one, so that's
Yeah,
people,
but,
poor people trying to look up, this wholesome video and they're finding Warhammer lore videos. It's just crazy.
Should we just hashtag divine? Does that
Sure.
work for everyone?
No, hashtag God. Let's stick with it. Let's stick with
Hashtag
it.
God. All right, hashtag God.
Hashtag God me up.
That's
who
basically
would- source.
Who would like the story of how I bit a hole in my hand before we close?
Thankful's on my case again. Appreciate you, brother.
It's a very short story.
Colin bit a hole in his hand.
Yeah, it's a very short story. I
Wow.
was really itchy on my hand one night, so I just started chewing it like a dog for like 2 hours straight. When I woke up, this was completely in the dark too. I was laying in bed. I didn't feel like turning the lights on. So when I woke up in the morning, woke up in the afternoon, it was just a hole in my hand.
That is
Wow.
uneven.
It was like a good centimeter deep.
You're a cannibal.
I wasn't like
Just like-
chewing and swallowing. I was just gnawing.
I just like the idea that you woke up and you were just like, and you could just like see through Just like one little.
It was like right here on my hand, like right about here. It was just really
Oh.
fucking itchy. So I just
Got better.
That's a crazy way to finish this. With that being said, though, hope everyone enjoyed this on stream. We might do more of these where it's more like it's with kind of summarizing like a big lore question. Hopefully people enjoy that stuff. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. Again, we're we have merchandise. Get your Goin Bob. Says non-Warhammer
Warhammer lads.
Mr. Bob Goin.
Legally distinct squig.
Legally distinct shirts. Have some
called a
cool
quig.
stuff on there. Obviously, again, for people listening on the remaster episode, comment below what you thought as well at the end of it, or if you were just like, nah, shut up, bro. He's definitely not a god, or he is. We're happy to listen. And we'll catch you guys all in the next one. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.